This is Nick with Rhino Tool Company, and we're going to be showing removal of the crank pin in our gas-powered post drivers. What you'll need is a hardwood dowel, a 7/8 deep well socket, ratchet, and spatula. The crank pin is a left-hand thread. Placing a 7/8 deep well socket on the crank pin, insert your wood dowel as to bind the connecting rod and the crankshaft against the side wall. And you will remove the crank pin. At this point you will check to make sure the shaft has no wear and that the threads are all good. You'll want to clean up any residual thread locker material. Then you want to remove as much lubricant from the crankcase as you can. Along with the tools of removal for the crank pin, you will also need a torque wrench capable of 360 inch-pounds, LOCTITE 243 thread locker, LOCTITE 7649 primer N. Using LOCTITE primer, you'll prime. After priming, you will allow at least 60 seconds for it to wick off. You'll want to apply a slight layer of lubricant to the shaft of the crank pin, as well as LOCTITE 243 thread locker. Inside the crankcase, you will locate the connecting rod and oil light bearing, making sure that it is level with the threads of the crankshaft. Insert the crank pin, making sure not to get any oil on the threads. Using your 7/8 deep well socket and a hardwood dowel, once it is hand tight, you'll use your torque wrench and torque to 360 inch-pounds. Once you have torqued the crank pin to the 360 inch-pounds, you will locate it back at top dead center and fill the crankcase with the remaining single tub of lubricant. Using the 7/8 deep well socket and ratchet, attach it to the crank pin and cycle the unit a couple times by hand to work the lubricant into the crankcase. Clean any residual lubricant from the face of the crankcase and install your crankcase cover. Always make sure the crankcase cover is hand tight only. And this concludes the installation of the crank pin on your gas-powered post driver.